So as you guys can see, we are in an undisclosed secret location because we're talking about one battle after another. And we are here to secretly talk about the revolution.
Oh. Oh.
Welcome to Frankie Finds, another episode where we break down movies. And I am here with an incredible makeup artist, stylist, creator, cut crease, Vanessa. Or should we call you Vanessa?
Yeah. I'll go by Vanessa.
You go by Vanessa? You're Vanessa today.
Some people just call me cut creaser, and I'm like, okay, sure.
I love it. Beyond your makeup, you are secretly a very profound reviewer. And I was like, I cannot wait to get you in here to talk about something, because when I read the things you put in your stories, your letterbox, I'm like, Vanessa is tapped in and people think she's just doing eye makeup.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
You're locked in.
Yeah, no, it's very hidden. I think it's just like I maintain my pop culture brain as like my hobby, and makeup has been my like job for so long, but I need to let it out every now and then. So I've been doing that for like the past maybe 3 or 4 years. I've just been doing it in my content now. So yeah, I'll just like share whatever, and like people just flock to it, which I'm so glad.
Because it's good. It's good.
Thank you.
It's good. It's nuanced. It's descriptive. And even if I'm like, oh, I felt this way differently about a film, you explain yourself in such a way that I'm like, I cannot disagree with what you're saying. You know what I mean? I just felt differently. And that's what art should be like. That's how art discussion should be. So I'm glad to be part of the journey.
Thank you.
So like I said, we were talking about one battle after another, which just hit films on, what's today? The 25th? On September 25th.
It is September 26th today.
On September 26th, it's starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, and a newcomer, Chase Infinity. I have a synopsis here, which I made up myself. After 5 years off the grid, a former revolutionary must find his daughter and reconnect with his resistance group. It is insane.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts. I love the theater, and you guys, I am fresh. I typically like to see films 2 or 3 times before I review it.
Agreed.
But I flew in from LA, and I missed both the LA. I flew out the day it was on LA, and then I came in too late for when it was in New York.
Right.
So I missed the screener. But I left there on a high. I felt like this may have been one of the best films I've ever seen. And we talked about Sinners, and you're like, I still think Sinners is better. I think culturally, Sinners is better. I think the way it made me feel, the things that came in, Sinners is obviously better. Sinners is not perfect. There are moments in Sinners, I'm like, what's going on here? The third act, honestly, I could have even done without the vampire stuff, period, in Sinners.
No, I agree as well.
You know, there's nothing I would change about one battle after another.
Okay.
You feel me? Like,
okay.
And we'll talk about, if there are things you're like, actually, I didn't quite like this.
Yeah.
Then we'll go. But I left that movie like the cinema. We're back to color grading.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We're back to using a camera again. Like, this is cinema.
Yeah, I will say this movie looks gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It's and the desert itself is its own character.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love when there's a setting and that becomes part of like the film. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So speaking of characters, let's start. Let's start with someone that we've seen featured everywhere. Perfidia Beverly Hills, which I thought was a drag name she made up.
Oh yeah, that's not her real name. Absolutely not. It's such a good name, because I like the moment she says it sounds like a drag queen name, and I'm like, wow, like she's putting on a performance even when she's doing what she does in the first act, where she's talking to the guy, the military head, who we end up seeing is Sean Penn. When she's talking to him, she puts on this performance, like it like she transforms completely into like this whole new person, which I found so interesting, because I wanted more of her in like the deeper sense. I feel like we saw mostly just a performance. To me, that's how I felt. I felt like we didn't get enough of like looking deeper inside of her. as like a woman in this world, and like seeing how she felt about doing these things and why she was doing it. I felt like the motivations weren't clear, and that's why I'm like, this film is not perfect. But
I feel you. I will say this about Perfidia. I called her the imperfect martyr.
Yeah.
And I felt like personally it was intentional.
Yeah.
That her motivations wasn't clear and that we never knew how she truly felt.
Yeah.
And I think it was very profound, you know, later when they're talking about her and they're calling her a rat and they can't really articulate who she is because I don't think anyone knew who Perfidia is. I don't know if Perfidia knew who she was. And I think this was a case of, which we see that theme a lot, generational trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Where Perfidia was brought in by revolutionaries. Her mother says it herself. Everyone here is a revolutionary.
Right.
And I don't think she's ever had to grapple with what it really meant to be a revolutionary. I don't think she's ever been caught. I don't think she's ever been to jail. And so to your point, to her it was always a performance. And when shit got real, she folded immediately.
Yeah.
But at the same time, literally everyone who got caught folded. There's no one who held their ground.
Yeah.
But I can see and understand why it's like she felt like you wanted more of her.
Absolutely.
You
I felt
know
like I was living in Chase Infinity's character's perspective of her, not the unknown, like just not knowing who she was. I felt like I was in that perspective, which I found really interesting as well.
Yeah. I love the way she spoke. I've never seen a woman and be so connected to her sexuality in the story because it's clear that she weaponized it. It was a piece of armor for her. She connected to sex, but I also think that she needed it in a way. Like, you know, she couldn't finish tasks without like being sexual.
Right.
And to your point, and actually now I'm starting to lean more towards it as I think about it, I wondered her relationship with Sean Penn. It's clear he was obsessed. It's clear that he coerced her into sexual acts. But I felt like a piece of it, I don't want to say that she wanted it, you know? Like
I feel like in a way
liked the
she
admiration.
Let herself like be consumed by it. I don't know how to explain it, but I think she just like allowed it to happen. Maybe she felt like there was no other way to get out of it because it's clear like his obsession was like insane and intense.
She didn't even try to talk. I would have loved, maybe not, I would understand her not telling Bob.
Right.
About like, I need to go do this thing.
Yeah.
But not even like Deandra. Like there was no one she could trust within that resistance group.
Right.
To be like, we got found out. I have to do this thing. And I think even her like choosing to do it unprotected and not like, I don't know. There was just so many things. I will say this. When I initially saw casting and I saw Chase Infinity, I was like, this is lazy. They just picking a mixed girl. Because she don't look like Tiana or Leonardo.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that sex scene and the cut to it, I said, oh my God, she looks like Sean Penn.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And then when they did that scene when they were looking at each other, I said, oh, wow, they actually cooked. They actually cooked. I love that she was so flawed, though. I love that Perfidia was flawed. I love that she clearly loved being a revolutionary to the point where I don't even know if she understood what she stood for.
Yeah.
Or she even understood the gravity of what she was doing to that extent.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I did want to see her more, but I liked yearning for her too.
Okay, yeah. I like the idea of her like haunting the narrative.
Yes. Oh
in
my
the
God.
second and third act, I'm like, she's everywhere, but she's not here at all.
Yeah. I
was very excited to like, towards the end when we like hear like her letter and like read her letter, her perspective, and it's just like, like I was yearning for more, but I'm okay with also not knowing at the same time. Like I was like in between, like
because so are they.
Yeah.
So now we're feeling like the characters.
Exactly. They really put us in their shoes so perfectly.
Absolutely. And that brings us perfectly into Bob because in so many ways, Bob is an audience member.
Yeah.
He is part of a resistance group. He's an attractive white man. And yes, he was the Rocket Man. He was out here making bombs and stuff like that. But just like Perfidia, in some ways, he's not committed or part of the game like everyone else. And he'll never be connected to it in the way that Perfidia, Black people, or even Sensei Sergio,
right?
Because he's white.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So he's able to retire.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of my favorite things about this film is that he essentially does absolutely nothing. He is stumbling through this.
It's honestly one of my favorite Leo performances because bar none. Like the moment he's on screen and you can tell that like he's doing this for shits and giggles.
Yes.
And he's just, I don't know, he's just doing whatever it takes to just get through the day.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting to me because there are so many people in revolutions that are like that.
Yes.
And I mean, in our political state, there's a lot of people that just really coast by and do nothing.
Yes.
While pretending like they're doing something very performative. So I really enjoyed this character. It's also a very comedic role as well.
Oh, this movie was so much funnier than I anticipated.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it to be so funny. I just kept laughing, even through like the very intense first scene where they're trying to get these people out of the camp, pretty much. I still felt like there was just hints of humor. Like I found it funny when Perfidia was just like telling him to like get it up.
Yeah.
Get it up. And I'm like, this is really funny. I wasn't expecting it to get me laughing.
So
but
fun fact, Paul Thomas Anderson is married to Maya Rudolph. And I think this was a love letter to her and I think they have 4 children together and his experience with them.
Okay.
Because to your point, Bob is here for shits and giggles. And that's why he continuously was there to retire. Right. He was ready to retire. He had a daughter. He said, what are we doing?
Exactly.
She's pregnant. And he's like, it's like she's not pregnant. She's like still trying to be a part of this.
Right.
And the gag is, you're always going to be a part of the revolution.
Exactly.
If you're Black or brown.
Right.
This will always be my life. I can't retire.
Yeah.
But Bob so many times decided to retire. And even when it came to his daughter remembered every single thing that he taught her and told her that was important.
Yeah.
He couldn't for the life of him remember it. And that's because it's not his fight. It's his daughter's fight.
Right.
And I'm sure Sergio and the other people of color around her like stressed how important it was. But to Bob, this was something I did because I do think that racism is wrong.
Right.
But it's not something I can commit to on that level.
Exactly.
And I think that's also why when it came to ratting, it was the white queer person. Oh my God, this movie's so good.
Oh, yes.
It was the white queer person who ratted her out.
That is so true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I saw who they brought, I said, that white queer person or the white woman. It was a white woman or a white
Right.
I said one of these two minority, not the Latino.
Yeah.
It's going to be the queer person but it's going to be one of these white people because at any time they can stop existing as this minority. You know what I mean?
That is so very true.
And even at the end, we see Bob. He's on his couch and his daughter. I mean, I know some of it is like letting the next generation take on the struggle, but he was very comfortable. He was like, God bless, be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe.
I found that very interesting as well, that like he continued to like lay in his bed. Like he just didn't want to like get up and do what Chase Infinity's character was going to do at the end of the movie. She just like was ready and committed to continue on. And yeah, he was just chilling.
He's like, I'm tired.
Yeah, which I get it. I get being lazy, but it's
sometimes you can't be.
You
lazy.
cannot be lazy, especially in the state. Well, in the world that we're put in for this universe in this movie. I'm like, there's no time to be laying around. Which why I found it so funny that he was just so aloof to everything until it got really serious for him. Right. It got really serious for him and his daughter, which I understand that.
Yeah. And speaking of world, I think the most haunting thing about this was the fact that it is clearly present day. I was waiting for them to say 2025.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Immediately when they're at the dance and they're playing like Sheck West.
I was like, what?
I'm like, this is, I turned to my friend, I'm like, this is so 2016. So I'm thinking like, okay, this is definitely like, they're in high school. So it's probably Yeah, this is our era, like in the 2020s at least.
Yeah, yeah.
But not a particular year. Even so, it's so now.
Because they had iPhones.
Yes.
And it's still timeless in that way because, to your point, like the cars were kind of old, but then there were newer cars.
Yeah.
So it was like, because we're in a different world. Or honestly, it's a world I could see happening, especially since the way they were tackling immigration, I thought was so interesting. We'll get about the White Christmas group in a second.
Yeah.
But it was clear at anti-immigration America, which we are spiraling to at a rapid pace. But at the same time, they still needed and wanted and supported immigrants being here and doing the work that, they don't want Americans to do.
Right.
And I thought that was very important. But we'll get into themes in a second because we got to finish the breakdown of the characters. Stephen Lockjaw. Sean Penn was my favorite.
Oh, yeah. The twitching that he would do with his mouth, I was like, oh, he's acting
Oscar worthy.
his ass off right now. Mm-hmm. And I've seen him recently in this film Daddy-O, and he was definitely carrying that as well with Dakota Johnson. And he's a very... he's not underrated, I would say, but he's like a sleeper hit for me.
Oh, I never thought about Sean Penn again.
Like once I saw him, I didn't know he was cast in this movie to begin with. But once I saw him and I'm like watching his performance, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be it in this movie. And he most definitely was. Wow. Man, that character. There's a lot to say.
I hated him. I hated him, which you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I think that it's about the oppressive nature of a segregated and racist country, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all humans. And what we're attracted to and things like that, obviously there are other factors, but we're humans. And when you suppress natural thoughts and like you're not allowed to explore the way you feel, you come out with this, shit fest that we saw. And I think he became obsessed with Perfidia. I think there's a moment where I wondered, I was like, does he love her? And I was like, I don't think he's capable of loving her. Mm-hmm. But he's clearly obsessed. Like, he came with flowers. Yeah. And the minute she didn't answer the door, he got... he bulldozed it down. I said, why is that in your car?
It's crazy. It's more like infatuation too.
Yes, absolutely.
Just absolutely infatuated with this woman that I feel like he even knows deep down that like she does not care about him in that way, but he doesn't care because he's so attracted to her and attracted to her performance as well, which is so interesting.
Yeah, her body.
Yes.
I think choosing Teyana Taylor was perfect because obviously she has an incredible body, but she has, to me, a very distinctly Black body, right? Her butt is very big. She's very muscular. I think her skin tone is the perfect in the middle Black. I was like, this is the like quintessential Black woman, and I think exactly the type of Black woman that a racist would obsess over. It's like the perfect forbidden fruit.
Okay.
And to your point, I think he's infatuated with her. I think he's confused.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought he was terrifying because not only is he confused, but he had insane power. Mm-hmm. He told his second in command, find me a reason to go out here. And they immediately found a reason, and he was able to activate the local police. He was able to do all this stuff. I was like, this man is clearly powerful. And he, not only does he not know what to do with this power, but he's impressionable.
Right.
He wants to like do things for a greater cause that truthfully, I don't think he's even dissected to understand if he believes it or not. He just knows he's white. He likes to have power, and he's good at, hunting people. Mm-hmm. And he's like, this is what I'm locked into. He's indoctrinated into that life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Do you think he was queer? He was just he's like, I'm not gay, if that's what you're thinking. I was like,
I feel like with people that are specifically like him, they just want to avoid anything that isn't white, straight, male. They just want to avoid everything. And like you said about natural thought, I'm sure he's thought about it.
Right.
He's definitely thought about it, and like maybe not in like the like maybe not so deeply, but he's looked at a man and thought about it. Like,
absolutely.
But he knows that that's not what he's supposed to be doing in his mind. But yeah, that's very interesting that you say that.
Yeah, because I was shocked. I was actually very proud of Willa for not reacting when he said, "I'm not gay." I was like, "Whoa, who brought up gay? Who brought up gay?"
Like he was projecting all these hidden thoughts about himself and like how he feels about gay people, how he feels about Black people. It's very, very interesting. And there's so many races that are like that.
Oh
too.
my God. The racist people in this movie were truly the funniest part.
Oh my God.
When he said he is a mixed race child and he said mixed with what?
Oh.
He said, I can't even say it. I was crying.
Theater roared. It was that. I'm telling you, the comedy in this movie is so smart. Good. It's so clever too. Like somebody could not find that funny, but deep down it is definitely.
The fact that they made it funny, I thought was great. It reminds me a lot of Danny McBride's comedy.
Oh yeah.
Like Righteous Gemstones, Eastbound Down, where it's like you're watching the worst people be racist or whatever.
Yeah.
But damn, they're doing, and to a point where I was like, damn, is this how white people talk about us when we're not here?
I thought about that as well. Yeah. When I was watching it, I'm like thinking, this it also compliment to the actors. It comes off so natural that I'm like, they've probably been in rooms where they've heard people speak like this. And yeah, that it made me think about that. It's terrifying. It's equally terrifying and funny. It's funny because it's so ridiculous.
Yes.
But it's terrifying that this is how people genuinely think in their thought process.
Yes.
When it comes to looking at people that aren't white or straight or just male, period.
And honestly, that's why I brought you on here. I don't know about you, but like I come from a family abroad and we're Caribbean and Latin, and these are things that we say white people talk about us. Oh, yeah. These are conversations we've seen, especially when it comes to immigration and things like that. Ooh. And I was like, this feels really important,
close to home,
and that's why I was like, this movie may be banned in 5 years. The way that we're moving,
wow, the fact that you said that, yeah. So yeah, I come from a family of immigrants. My family moved here from El Salvador in the 80s. So like leaving a war.
I was like, it was hot in El Salvador in the 80s. I totally.
So they left in like the mid 80s and they came here, and I mean, they became citizens like not too long ago. So I've seen like the way immigration has been dealt with the past 25 years for as long as I've been alive, and like what I can remember consciously. It is so scary, like just going anywhere. Yeah. And like just the fear of like, is somebody gonna get taken away from me or at some point? So I thought it was so interesting that immigration was such a very big like backdrop to this story. And I wonder what PTA's like connection to immigration is as well, and why he chose to have this at the backdrop, because there could have been so many different political things, elements that could have been in the backdrop for this one. And I just thought it was so interesting that he chose this.
The immigration.
Just straight from the beginning. From the very beginning. And it's like in the backdrop throughout the rest of the movie with Sensei and his own mission and like his own revolution. See, like there's like two different battles going on in this movie. It's like one battle after another. They're all coming together for this one thing, but also they're doing very specific things alone. Like Sensei and his family helping out the immigrants that they're holding in their residence, and they're hiding people from like the public and the police going into the store, and like it's so interesting. I thought it was so intriguing that he chose this.
It's so well researched, and I think an important piece is the black revolutionaries who were, to my knowledge, African American,
right?
And the Latin, I feel like they were mostly Mexican.
Yeah, they were.
Benicio is Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. He's a pride of our country. I don't know, we're not a country, but I like to call it a country.
No,
whatever.
It definitely is to me.
But
the island, yes.
We always talk about him. But I think to your point, Sensei and the way that he interacted with the revolutionary, I know at least with my family, my grandma, there would always be one or two like matriarchs who had a big house who did exactly what Sensei did, which was like Ellis Island, right? Someone would come from the island. They come, they stay with you until you got a job.
Right.
And then you moved.
On your way.
Yeah. But there was at any given time, multiple people living in the house. I used to watch my grandma. We'd pack barrels with clothes, with our old clothes.
Right.
She'd buy t-shirts from Canal Street, all that stuff. And we send it back. And I think that connection is so connected with Black culture because Black people, even though African Americans have built this country, they are consistently fighting for rights in this country. And so they can understand, another class of people who you look at immediately know you're not white.
Exactly.
And are struggling. And I think that it's very interesting that there were no Asian people in this story.
That is very true.
And I think that really speaks to, I don't know who the fuck Paul is talking to, but he knows that like this revolution, the connection between, at least in the Northeast with us, the connection between Latin America and Black America are so tight knit. And when it comes to struggle, when it comes to us fighting, we always gonna be there. When the George Floyd protest, it was us, and it was it was the Latinos, it was Black. With ICE, we out here, we ready to go.
Right.
And I think Sensei Sergio was a perfect mirror to Bob, who was able to retire during those 15 years. Sergio never retired.
Right. He was still in his dojo, but he was ready to lock in.
Yeah, and
any
that's
given
why
moment.
when it happened that night, he wasn't even panicked.
Yeah.
He
was so. I love Benicio del Toro. The way he was also one of my favorite performances in this movie.
My God. When he got arrested, he was like, I said, this man is perfect. I was
just in my chair like, yes.
But just the calmness, because he clearly ran through this with everyone. He probably done fire drills. Yes. They've had safeguards. So when everything was going to shit and Leonardo was tripping, he was like, deep breath, we ready to go.
Yeah.
He took off his slides to cowboy boots, which I thought was significant, especially in Latin culture.
Of course.
And he said, let's go. And even when this dumbass got arrested.
Yeah, he was ready to save his ass. He had a whole plan for that as well.
Seamless.
It's beautiful.
And then he still paid respect to this white man. He said, I can't believe I saved a French 75 member twice in one day.
Exactly.
And I was like, Leonardo don't even understand the gravity of the group that he's in. All. And it's clear that he worked with Sensei and stuff like that because that city was like a hub for them.
Right.
And that city was able to run because they were Mexican. They were doing dirty work. They were like making chicken nuggets and stuff like that.
Right. Yes.
And they mentioned that later, which we'll get into. I wanted to bring up Deandra, Regina Hall's character.
Right. Yes.
Sorry, I said Deandra. Was it Deandra or Deidre? I think it's Deandra.
I think it might be
because it's Deandra.
Yeah, Deandra.
Deandra. Okay. I think Regina Hall should be a way bigger actress than she is.
I've always said this, and I saw a tweet saying it as well, that comedic actors are amazing drama actors as well. They always are.
Yeah.
Regina Hall.
She's chef's kiss. I think she was a great parallel to Perfidia because Perfidia was clearly performative. We were talking about her performance. Deandra was clearly living this.
Yeah.
And she was calm, she was collected, she was ready to do these things. And in the end, she still ratted at the end. And I think that was the important part, that you can't trust people in a revolution. You can't trust anyone because maybe you're ready to die. That switchboard guy, I forgot his name. But are you ready for your family to die?
Right.
Are you ready for these things? We don't have the power. And at any given point, you can break, you could get caught.
Yeah.
And I think they showed that even when you don't want to be, even when everything about you're like, I will never rat. I will talk shit about anyone who rat. You could be susceptible to it.
Absolutely.
And I love the way she interacted with Willa.
Oh,
like
yeah.
when she found the phone, I was like, that's such a teenager thing to fucking do.
Absolutely. And the moment she said like no, I'm like, there's no way. Like I know if I was in that situation, I wasn't allowed to have a phone. I'm gonna have a phone. I'm gonna use like my sister's old phone and find a way to use it.
And you know what? Sergio was like,
she got a phone.
She got a phone.
Yeah, like, and like he's surrounded by kids too all the time in his dojo and like his family. So like he knows what kids be up to. But because Leo's character is so aloof to everything, he doesn't know anything that's going on. Of course he's not. Yeah, of course he doesn't know that.
And because he don't need to.
Yeah.
You know, Sergio's locked in.
Yeah.
He's like, at any time, all of us could go to jail.
Yeah.
We got to make sure, I got to be open. I got to look, I'm running this dojo. I thought there'd be more martial arts in this. I'm not going to hold you.
Honestly hoping for another scene of that, but I'm okay. Like
because the movie was so good, I said, I get it. You couldn't fit any kung fu in here. I would have fucked with a little bit though.
Yeah, just a little
Benicio.
Yeah, exactly. Like a little set piece of him doing something. Something physical at least. I think that would have been so fun to watch. But I completely understand.
I hate that I understand it, but I do. And especially since it was so funny, I wanted to see like Jackie Chan type martial arts.
Oh yeah,
that's like comedic based. There's a scene where he's leaving and he goes down the trap door and the rug rolls over it.
The rug, just like beautiful.
This is real cinema. I was like, see, we got to bring back real cinema. And then you know what's so crazy? This morning, as I was writing my notes, the Wicked for Good trailer came out. Right. I love Wicked. I love the first film. I love the play, and there's so much artistry in the film, except for cinematography. That shit is so fucking great.
It is a really ugly looking movie.
Ugly.
And it's going to continue to look ugly for the sequel. It really sucks.
And honestly, I think it prevented them from getting more Oscars and prevented them for so many things. And there are so many times where I'm like, think about how hard these people in Wicked worked. The costume designers, someone planted like 10,000 poppies and you couldn't color grade this shit. You couldn't. God. You're using natural light.
It's crazy because, they planted that many poppies and it looks like CGI when it's real. And that's when I knew like, I
was like, why are there no distinctive, like, yes, there's pink and green, but it's not distinct. Even in like Superman, right? The blues and yellows are so bright in it. In Thunderbolts, the gradient is almost like somber, and like even if you are using natural light, using it to highlight someone's eyes.
Right.
There's a creator I love. His name is Henny Media. He was talking about The Parent Trap. And he was showing scenes from The Parent Trap.
I'm like picturing in my mind. That's a good
I was
movie.
Like, why is The Parent Trap lit better and more dynamic lighting?
It is beautiful.
Than Wicked. That is not the case here. Not only is it color graded, but like being in the desert and like seeing the vastness of it, I was like, this is crazy.
It's dimensional. I feel like I'm in there. I mean, I saw it in IMAX. I know a lot of people are seeing it in VistaVision, which I would love to see it in VistaVision as well. But the picture is just beautiful. Like you said, the landscape. I'm thinking of the desert and the road. I feel like I was on the road.
I was getting sick.
Yes, I was thinking that in my head because I've gotten sick, like kind of motion sickness from The Way of Water, Avatar.
Yes.
There's a moment in the movie where I felt like I was getting like, my stomach was a little turned. And with this, it felt like,
you were going up and down that.
Yeah.
I was like, is this chair moving?
It felt like 40X. It's amazing.
Like, and I wondered, how did he even mount this on the chair? Like, where's this perspective from?
Oh, yeah.
I need it. I may DM him and be like, excuse me, how did you shoot these hill shots? This is insane.
I need more interviews from him.
But I agree. And the thing about Avatar, Way of Water, is that some of that motion sickness you felt was because it was CGI and that uncanny valley.
Right.
This was me feeling like I was in the car driving up and down the hill. And honestly, and Willa is the last character to break down, it made me respect Willa so much. She saved herself. And I was like, I wouldn't have even thought to stop the car like that and set up.
Anything that she was doing, the moment she gets, taken, after he like leaves her. He leaves her with this other man who is also an very interesting side character.
Ooh.
Yes.
The Native American who's not homegrown?
Yes. So when she's there, just her thought process with everything, like, obviously when she's let go, her immediate thought is to go to the car and like turn it on. She knows how to turn.
Yes. She was on every time. And that was one thing I could say about Bob. He at least drilled into her head how important she it was.
He at least taught her everything that she knew and actually gave her the tools to learn these things, which is really good on his part. I would say he's a good dad, not like the best person to himself or to like anybody in this revolution, but he's definitely a good father. I think that's such an interesting dynamic. We'll talk about this.
Now we can get into like the themes and generational trauma, but I'm glad you brought up the way that he ingrained the lessons and why she was able to internalize it. Because, Bob couldn't even be bothered to learn these things that clearly he's been teaching her. So he's had to repeat multiple times, but that's because it doesn't affect him. She's probably experienced things outside of the house that made her be like, I should know this.
Yeah.
He's not lying in this way. Like, he's paranoid. He's going a little bit to the extreme. But it's clear that some of this stuff is real.
It's for good reason.
And I should know this.
Yeah.
The fact that she didn't even stutter to the words or she reacted the minute the music started playing.
Yes, and like immediately knew the rest of the code words when Deandra came to her in the bathroom. It's just, it gave me chills. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, she such
knew.
A good character.
Versus Bob, who like, even the way he was interacting, like, I don't remember these things, and he was getting pissed off.
I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the past.
I understood his frustration, but I also understood what the people on the other side was saying, like, bro, you could be coerced, you could be in front of people, you could have told someone something else.
Yup.
You need to know the code words.
Exactly.
But you don't respect him. He's like, I'm whoever. And some of it was the white man in him. He's like, I'm Bob.
Right.
You should know me. And he's like, I don't. Now what? Now what do we do here? You know what I mean? And yeah, I thought Willa did such a great job of knowing everything, understanding the gravity. Yeah, she kept her phone, but she's 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be a flaw in any teenage character, especially like a character that's put in a universe like this or like a world where like everything's a lot. There's always going to be that like inkling of like a teenager thing.
Like,
which
how serious
I thought
is it?
I thought it was really funny. I was going to say something I completely forgot, but it'll come to me.
Yeah. That goes into passive allyship and how that works, which I guess I feel like we kind of beat with a dead horse with Bob, what I love. But yeah, one of my favorite things is that he just stumbled and was just around capable people, including his daughter.
Oh my gosh. The moment that he's following these kids that are parkouring over the roof.
Yes. Why did he think? I was looking at that distance. I was like, this man is not in shape. And that's another thing. You part of a resistance. You off the grid. You on the run. And you believe that someone may at any time come and you have to leave, that you have like an escape route. You're not jogging every day.
And he's wearing this long robe that like
you're not locked in.
Unprepared at all. And like for a man who's so paranoid, I found that so interesting that I feel, which again, coming back to him being such a good dad, he was able to instill all these things in his daughter, but not for himself. Like he really was being very selfless when it came to his daughter, but so stupid when it came to himself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that he even remembered that there was a tunnel underneath his bed. Like,
right. But I will say this. I feel like that's a reflection of parenthood and how it is.
Yeah, you just don't really think of yourself.
You think about them, right?
Exactly.
Like, how many parents be like, I eat terrible, my kids eat amazing. Yeah. They're eating organic. They're doing this stuff.
Exactly.
Even when it comes to food, a lot of times I buy children's food. Like if I'm buying apple juice, I buy Mott's Tots.
Love apple juicy juice.
Yeah, because they don't got that extra sugar.
Exactly.
It's just apple juice. I'm like, why they get the good shit? If I'm getting fruit snacks, I'm getting Annie's. I'm getting the stuff in the children's aisle.
Right.
Because it's for them.
Right.
If you're buying something for adults, it's packed with red dye number 4 and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I felt that way with him. He's like, I'm going to make sure you're good because you're my daughter. I love you. I'm going to make sure you're fine. I couldn't care. I'm suicidal.
Yeah.
I'm over this. Let's talk about the white Christmas group.
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
So I really was not. I felt like it was coming, but I wasn't anticipating like the code names for it. Tony Goldwyn, complete shock to me. The moment he comes into the screen, I'm looking at my friend because I'm like, oh, like what's his face from Scandal? So I'm like,
Fitz,
President Fitz. I'm like,
I'm glad you brought up Scandal because it felt like, I don't know if he meant it to be anything, but hiring President Fitz to be the head of this racist fucking group served a lot of purposes.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, the spokesperson of a group like this is going to be a handsome white man. But I also feel like that actor in particular always plays a white man who's there specifically because he's so handsome. You know what I mean? And the first impression I have of that character is him disrespecting Lockjaw.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, sorry, we had to get you in the back. You weren't dressed appropriately. But he changed to go there. He could have easily been like, make sure you wear black tie. I'm at this event.
Right.
And even him saying, come to my daughter's wedding was to make sure that the time that he had with him was minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Come tonight. I'm only going to spend 5 minutes with you anyway. And he had to take a plane to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. I felt like this was the intrusive thoughts of white conservative groups. And I love that they were cowards.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how, they were so rigid. And, when Sean Penn's character initially got shot, I was like, dang, this is an unsatisfying death for me, right?
Yeah.
And then when they showed he was still alive, I was like, oh, maybe someone else would kill him.
Yeah.
And then when he died, from the group that he started this whole mess with, and they did it in such a cowardly way and unceremoniously disposed of his body, I was like, Paul is cooking. Paul is cooking. This is way more satisfying than having to put that death on any one of them or, I don't know, him dying in some weird graphic way.
Right.
No, you're going to die for the cause that you don't even truly believe in.
Like he needs to get what he deserves. And I feel like, I agree. I think the moment when he gets shot, literally in his jaw, which I thought was really funny.
Now he's actually lockjaw.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I thought that was hilarious. Again, another instance of his clever writing, so funny. And the moment where we've been seeing the horizon nonstop, and then we see him just rise up from the frame. The theater again. Oh, everybody. Oh,
yes.
It's such a good theater experience. I just wanted to talk about that real quick because I it's like a communal experience when you know that the audience knows that this guy is a menace and he sucks and we can't wait to see him gone. But in my brain, I'm kind of glad he's back. I needed a little bit more from that. Yeah, I wanted to see a better death, that one that he deserved.
Yeah. I went that, but to your point, I love the theater experience. We all laughed together. We all cheered for moments. During that chase scene, we were all on the edge of our seat.
Oh yeah, the guy next to me just fully.
Yeah, I was locked in. When you're playing a video game and you lean forward and that was me. That was me. I also like that the implication that the White Christmas group had so much power, and also they were very anti-immigrant, but they also explicitly said they needed immigrants.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes.
So when I think the entire reason they started to investigate Lockjaw was because they were like, why is he in this Mexican hub?
Right.
We need our Mexicans back.
Yes, it's for their convenience. Even when they talk about the chicken joint that they like, I'm rolling my eyes because I'm you only care when it's convenient, but these are real humans we're talking about that are struggling to find a place to live here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just the idea of that.
And the access they had. I couldn't believe Sean Penn had a was it a mobile DNA table?
Right. Yeah.
Is that real? I don't know. I mean, obviously this is some alternate universe, but It felt like it hard to access technology.
Like it could be real for like anything like military or something. Like
I was impressed. I'm not gonna hold you.
Yeah, I was too, for sure. And like, there's a lot to say about like the difference between like everybody's resources. Like we're looking at Bob's tunnel underneath his bed and like the way he's getting out of there, and then we go back to the Christmas party. I can't remember what they're called, but pretty much they're like it's in their home underground. It's so perfectly well like done. Yeah. And it looks like some people took their time to build this tunnel for like them to have their like secret hideout, to have the secret meeting. I thought that was so interesting
versus
too.
that haphazardly dug.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even without the resources, they were terrified of Bob.
Oh yeah.
Like when they find the tunnel, the first thing one of the soldiers says is he's a bomb specialist, and they don't pursue him. And this was something, I think the reason why I like the film so much is no one made dumb decisions. I mean, Bob sometimes, but even then it was like, he was just goofy.
Yeah, I think it was like natural decisions. I think for somebody to, in that like spot that they're in, again, thinking about the roof jumping, like, of course somebody would fall from that. Like, if they're
especially an old man who don't be running,
who's high as hell all the time. So it's understandable. Yeah, I agree.
It would, but I hate that. I hate when these are like world-renowned soldiers and they're like easily disposed, or they make these dumb decisions. I'm like, have you ever been on that? How are you a world-renowned soldier?
Right.
Like, oh my God, I love The Rock. I love the Fast franchise, but in Hobbs and Shaw, The Rock is being pursued by essentially super soldiers.
Right.
And he beats them with his cousins in chancletas. And I'm like, what? Like, I was like, these are soldiers with gear and guns. And like, obviously it's the Fast franchise. It's essentially sci-fi. But I love that they opened it. They were all weary. They said, I'm not going down there. He probably rigged it. You know, like there was even with those resources, they were using their big brain.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about, interracial love and the way that they explored that. As I mentioned, the writer and director, Paul Thomas Anderson, is married to Maya Rudolph. And I loved the conversations because I felt like it was clearly him writing a love letter to his family.
Right.
One of my favorite things that he says is, I couldn't even do her hair right.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was it definitely felt like he was writing that from his own experience.
Yeah.
Too, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah, I can't normally speak to that because I feel like me and my family, we all have the same type of hair. Mm-hmm. But it is very interesting when I hear like my friends talk about how like they have done their hair their whole life, or they had to learn how to do it themselves.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
And I think now there are definitely way more resources because of YouTube, because of like the hair influencers. But yeah, to your point, growing up, even, my family's Black. So like we know how to take care of our hair. But, even going to salons is a whole ordeal.
There's
figuring
like a whole culture with hair. And like for some folks, they really like the blown out hair. They want their hair flat ironed or anything. They don't want it natural or the natural curls to come out. But yeah, well, kids, they're growing up in that culture and they're so used to having their hair blown out. But when they see other folks with like curls, they want to try it too. So of course they go to YouTube and like they learn themselves.
And when I grew up, the natural curly look did not have the support it did now. We did not have curl gel. We didn't have curly cuts. We didn't have all, flexi rods, all that stuff. And so for the most part, our option was, once you got to a certain age, you just got a perm.
Right.
And then you wore your hair straight. And I think that even like my mom, she doesn't know how to do natural hair. Mm-hmm. She can do certain things. But I remember there was a real learning curve for her, like to learn how to braid my hair and stuff like that, because she had a perm for so long. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the experience of so many people. Now, obviously, she got to a point where she was doing it really well. Mm-hmm. But I think that's so important that our hair is so tied to our identity, our beauty. And particularly for Black women, we were taught for so long that we hate our hair. I also love that Chase had like a really tight curl texture too, because they could have easily picked the like Zendaya type girl who has like a looser curl.
Right.
And so I'm sure there were times she was in this Mexican town with people with, probably silkier hair as well.
Yeah, all her friends all had straighter hair. Yeah.
And you got to figure out, you do something, you want to do a group fit, like you join a cheerleading team or something. That was my experience. Everybody wants to do a style, and I can't do that style. Right. My hair's short. Or, I put it in a high ponytail, but it's not like, it's bouncy.
Right.
And you feel that. And I can imagine, like, as a white family member, him not being able to help and him feeling helpless.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that he brought that up. Do you think Perfidia fetishized white men?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, when she's flirting with Bob for the first time, it's like, it's funny. It comes off very funny and comedic, but yeah, just a little bit.
I thought it was interesting that she picked him out of that whole group.
Yeah.
Leonardo is fine. He's been finer. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, this is not even peak Leonardo. We look at that.
Right, and that's like 15 years prior to like the timeline that we're at for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So like, Leo, if you think about it, Leo's supposed to be like 15 years younger. I'm like,
maybe, but still,
yeah.
I think they DH'd him.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
you think so?
yeah. It was hard to see, but it's because we saw him Titanic. You expected Titanic, Leo.
I think, yeah,
that wasn't him. But 15 years ago, that's kind of how Leo looked. It was hard to tell because I think the only other person they de-aged was Regina Hall, and she looks more or less the exact same.
Yeah,
so it's hard to tell.
You're right.
I think they definitely de-aged him a bit for it.
Okay.
That being said, I thought it was interesting that her two lovers were white. Obviously, one she was coerced into. Right. But I think, to my point earlier about her kind of like not understanding what the revolution was in the same way that Bob was, being forced into it, and then it just becoming part of her identity. I think her being attracted to white men was a piece of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, to me, sometimes like watching like Donald Glover or Jordan Peele write these like profound pieces of Black work and then having white wives. You know what I mean? At least Jordan Peele's half white, so I'll give him that. But you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you see that so often where people are like fighting and talking about like rights, Black Latin people, and then their spouse is white. I'm like,
yeah.
How much you believe this? Like, you know?
There's a lot of nuance that goes into that. It's like how far do your beliefs go when like this is what you're attracted to and this is what you've chosen for your family, like this is who you chose to be a part of your family. Like, I don't know, it's very interesting.
It is nuanced. I think it's interesting because, to your point, you could be attracted to anyone.
Oh, yeah.
But I firmly believe you put yourself in a space to love someone, to pursue that, right? We're both dating people of color. I've dipped in milk. I'm not gonna hold you. I dipped in the milk. I'm so sorry. It got harder as I got deeper into talking about, culture and stuff like that and having those discussions at home. But I've always been attracted to white men on the same way I've been attracted to men of color. And I think it got harder for me to date them once I really started to understand who I was as a person and my beliefs, and just being like, I'm not willing to having to constantly explain things and them not being able to connect in the way that Bob couldn't connect.
Exactly.
They're never going to be able to connect on the same way. Also, at this point, I'm like, the optics. The optics of the fanboy fighter with a white man is hard. It's difficult.
Yeah.
But,
it's a real thing.
It's not that you're not attracted to them. It's that, like, this is my life. This is what I believe in.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're from two different worlds. And I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It felt intentional that she was dating these she dated one white man, but, and then was frustrated that he wasn't understanding in her postpartum, right? I do think some of her postpartum was fueled by the fact that she was taken advantage of.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I think a piece of it was her kind of grappling with the fact that she was like, what are these decisions I made?
Right. She was so deep in the revolution, and now she's mothering a whole baby now all of a sudden with this man who doesn't understand truly like the nuance of everything. And he's like so aloof. He was so aloof back then. He's gonna it's so interesting. Postpartum, that I found was such an interesting element towards the beginning when where we witness a lot of Perfidia. It's an experience that is so different for everyone. So I feel like a lot of people might fault Perfidia for leaving, and like they might see her as like another villain to the story. But there's so much that goes into that. I can't fault her for making these decisions to like leave and rat and whatnot. She was going through
She was going through the most. And I think that was my favorite thing about the film overall, is that everything felt balanced, right? Yes, Bob was being aloof, being like, we have a family now, we can't be revolutionaries. And I think he had a right to say that.
Yeah.
I also thought Perfidia had a right to be like, that's not true.
Yeah.
This doesn't end because we had a baby.
Exactly.
How many people are having babies? And I felt like that conflict was real. It hurt me to hear that none be like, Perfidia's a rat, and for, Willa having to ask that. But she was a rat. But so was everyone else.
Right.
There were so many people that the minute they got caught, even old boy who set up this whole system, who made these music boxes, told.
Yeah.
And they told because it's hard when you're going against an entity with that much resources.
Right.
When you have a family, when you have all these things to lose, to not be a rat.
Right.
And that was something I'm very interested to see how the public is going to engage with Perfidia, because she's not perfect. There were times I didn't like her, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay for her to not be liked, but I don't know if historically, if Breaking Bad has taught me anything, they're never graceful when it comes to women.
At all. Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even talk about Breaking Bad, because
Skylar,
I still like, it baffles me that people are just like, my number one most hated character is Skylar, but like she's she's a complicated character. I really love that there are characters like this in media that are complicated, that can be hated or liked or neutral about.
Because that's how people are.
Yeah.
And truly, Skylar, I feel like people forget, because we're seeing this from the perspective of Walter White, how terrible Walter was to Skylar and the family. She tried to leave for like 2 seasons, and he was terrorizing her.
Yeah.
He was manipulating her. He was using the fact that she didn't want to, send him to jail when he had fucking brain cancer, and was, weaponizing that. And he was yelling at her. He was doing all this stuff. And they mad she took a little $50,000.
I think people like tend to, when they watch media that is in the perspective of a male, they insert themselves. That's like their first and foremost thing. So they see Walter just being so frustrated with Skylar that they just hate Skylar too. It's so irritating, because they don't really.
I'm like, Walter is the bad guy. He is a murderer and drug dealer.
Absolutely terrible.
And you mad at Skylar because she cheated.
Yeah.
Infidelity is worse than murder. That's what they were saying. They're like, she cheated. Okay, she tried to get a divorce.
Yeah.
And he refused.
She tried.
But then he murdered people. Let's remember. And he ruined Jesse. Nobody. It's a whole thing. Let's talk about the hero of the story. I loved that Bob was not the hero.
Yeah.
He saved no one.
Yeah.
In fact, everyone was saving him. Even when he set up to be a sniper to like save his daughter for that one moment, I said, you know what? Yeah, Bob, use your training. And he totally missed. Sean Penn didn't even flinch. He got up in that car. And I love that everyone had autonomy, and Bob didn't have the room to be a white savior. There was times that I was wondering if he was racist. I hated the way he was saying essay.
Oh
my God.
Leonardo DiCaprio. I really wonder, like, they spent so much time in that town that they were in, so I can't imagine like him picking up on like certain things that people were saying, but it came off so natural that it just started making me laugh. Like,
yes.
Even when he was speaking Spanish at certain points as well, like "Viva la revolución."
Viva la revolución!
I literally just cringed in my seat. Like,
so
it's like you really can't escape me. No matter if you're an ally, you're still wet at the end of the day. And I'm glad that he knew his place, sort of, but like he just wanted to be down so bad.
Oh my God!
And that is what I hate. That is what I'm I'm starting to see thinking about it. Yeah.
And there were moments, but to your point, it was clear they all knew who he was.
Yeah.
Because they were ignoring him. Like, he would say stuff.
Fucking guy again.
But you're right. He knew enough English that I could tell, Spanish, I mean, that I could tell that he interacts with them often.
Yeah.
And he was like, communicating with them.
Exactly.
Like, I was like, this man is like a third fluent where he knew a lot of words and he was trying it. But you know, I wanted him to be Ben Affleck fluent. Or Bloomberg. Remember Bloomberg? You're from New York, right?
Yeah.
Remember he used to do press releases in Spanish?
You know what? Yes, I do remember that.
And they were terrible. The Spanish, he was like, El Verde, da-da-da. But I'm like, this man fluent.
But he's saying, yeah.
But yeah, the essay was weird.
Ben Affleck being in this role, thinking about that would be hilarious.
He's fluent though.
Yeah, he's fluent.
More fluent than Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, absolutely, and I live for that.
Every
time I see him speak Spanish in any like press tour, I'm like,
go ahead. Yeah, I actually really love, and I speak a little Spanish, but I don't like speaking it at all. I actually will avoid, even if I can't communicate, because especially since I'm Black, they're so mean about your accent and they'll ridicule you. And I'm like, yo, I'm trying. This is not my first language, you know?
It's like a whole other thing, like the way people react to your accent when they can tell that you're not a native Spanish speaker, they'll just rip you to shreds. And it makes you not want to speak at all.
And I don't for that reason.
I am learning that like we need to stop thinking like that and just actually just speak it.
Just speak it and let it go.
And just let it go. Like,
I'll work on that. I'll work on that because I feel that way all the time. And I remember, I forgot what I was talking about in the Heights and how we were represented. And in it, I said Celia Cruz, and I said it wrong. And even my cousins were like ridiculing me, sending all this stuff. I was like, I'm talking about a movie that's set in the Heights that don't feature Afro-Latinos. We should be like talking that, not the way I said Celia Cruz.
Right.
I don't speak Spanish often, and this is exactly why. Why are you shaming me? Imagine if I was shaming you at the way, not you specifically, but like my family members who English isn't their first language. Imagine if I was shaming you at the way you say English words.
Exactly.
Now I'm racist if I do it, but you can say to me, like, what are we doing here? But yes, I know we went into a whole side, which I forgot Benicio del Toro. I always called him Latino Brad Pitt.
That's valid.
Does he not look like, especially if you look at Snatch and stuff like that, he's so fucking hot.
Absolutely love him. That's my king.
Even when he's a mess, I think he's hot.
I squealed when I saw him, like because he and the rest of the cast was in the theater, excluding Regina Hall, but they were in the theater for a little bit. Charlemagne was like doing a little Q&A before the screening, which
Charlemagne the God? Good for him.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was like, that's really cool. But the moment I saw him, I'm like, this is something so special to me. Yes. I don't know why. And even like seeing him in Star Wars too, he's playing like this character, which is so completely the opposite of who he's playing in this incredible movie. It's so interesting.
He's a collector in the Marvel universe. You remember that?
Oh yeah. The collector,
so
Tavon.
Yeah. He looks so different in every role.
Yeah, he's transformative. I love him.
Johnny Depp, or what Johnny Depp is trying to be.
Oh, They need to tap him for more stuff because he's
so good.
That's a generational actor.
I agree. I loved him. But I said all that to be like, I always called him Latino Brad Pitt, and I still forgot that he was Latino. So to see him like listening to a conversation in Spanish and answering in English, for him to moving to Spanish for people who didn't speak English, and then for him to go in a house full of people, I said, oh, this is Paul also has Latino friends too, because I was watching it. I was like, this is the experience. This is how like your Theo is. Like he's out here, he's moving, he's calm, he's fixing everything.
Yeah.
You call him upset, he says, all right, I'll handle it.
It's so interesting. And again, that's why I really wanted to know why PTA like chose these things in the backdrop, why he chose these different things. He's been writing this movie for 20 years, apparently. Yeah. He said in the before the movie started, he spoke about how he started writing this movie 20 years ago, so he's just been coming back to it every now and then. And I understand completely why, because if he's writing these characters from these different backgrounds and everything that's going on, I completely understand taking breaks and coming back to it and really focusing on whatever one, because these characters feel so real, especially I think of Sensei, I'm like, yeah, this is such a real, like, that could be my Theo. Like, I feel like I know him type of thing. Which is it's so crazy because I'm like, this is written by a white man.
I was getting tight. I think I put that in my letterbox review. I said, who gave this white man the sauce? Because he had too much.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's baffling. Again, not my number one movie of the year, but I will 100,000% respect his filmmaking and his craft for really like going into every single detail and executing it so well, even though I have my qualms with them and why, like, just I'm mostly, my qualms are just like, why did he do this? Why did he do that? But overall, just the filmmaking, the craft is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I think the debate about whether or not it's the movie of the year,
I've been seeing it everywhere.
Because Sinners is so significant.
Yeah.
And that is the only reason why, to your point, when people are like, is it better than Sinners? I'm like, technically, yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think on so many levels, even story-wise, I think it's better than Sinners. Although, I will say this, there is not one scene in one battle at a time that is as good as that generational scene in Sinners, where he's singing and all the different, like, cultures come in. There's nothing in cinema that really is touching that one scene. The music, the sound, the way that it's framed.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's that. But at the same time, like I said, there are some narrative issues with Sinners that, you know, I didn't feel with one battle after another. But then there were some moments of pride that I felt with Sinners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can understand why, especially white people, would say this is the best movie of the year. Even myself, I'm like saying it. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I've never felt this way. Like, as someone who loves cinema, who loves cinematography, who loves score, I love this. But shit, the score in I love musicals too.
Exactly, me as well. It's gonna be a tough race when we think about Best Picture. I feel like these two are.
I wish it came out. I wish it came out different years.
Exactly.
You know,
I do feel that Sinners is just so culturally significant. That I feel like more people will connect with Sinners in a way, but there will be a lot of people who connect with this one too. But I feel like Sinners was going to be the one that people will remember for a really long time.
Yeah.
For really, really
you know what?
long
You're
time.
right. Like, this impact, I don't know. I don't know, like, especially with the immigration aspect.
Yes. I will say that this is a time capsule. This is going to be remembered for a while. Both of these movies are going to be remembered for very different things. I feel like in the cultural aspect, Sinners is going to be remembered for a very long time. But for the political aspect, for one battle after another, people are really, really going to remember this, especially if it gets banned or something like that.
Yeah, I said that not loosely, but I was like, they firing white men. Like, God knows what's going on. They're already banning books. This was so tied to immigration. And, you know, we didn't get to talk about him, but even like our part in tearing each other down, that Native American tracker, who the white people were saying wasn't homegrown. That was like the irony of saying a Native American is not homegrown. It's crazy, but how people feel. And that's what I thought was important about Sinners. Made us reflect and be proud of who we are and think about our connections to, you know, the older generations and, you know, things of that nature. This made me reflect on my part in what's going on right now. You know, like, there's a genocide going on. We're experiencing censorship. Immigration is at an all-time high. I mean, not immigration, obviously. Just our resistance to immigration is at an all-time high. And that is important. That is something that we should be dissecting. And it's crazy you said this was 20 years in the making. Yeah. Considering those themes.
That's what made me like kind of jump in my seat a little bit afterwards. I'm like, he has been cooking this, and these themes that he's been cooking has been they've been so relevant for so long in so many different ways. Like as the years go by, if you really think about how immigration was 20 years ago versus now.
Which is, it's insane that immigration is a hot button topic in America. I called it America. Oh my God. United States. When we were founded on immigration, like the entire country are immigrants. Like, where does it end now that we're doing it? You know that if you're taking away birthright citizen, how far before you take away that birthright citizenship, right? Because then you're looking at most of us.
Yeah.
It's very odd. So I want to finish this off with a final rating. I do 1 out of 5. I say Frankie frames. You do Vanessa. I always gotta think of an alliteration for you, but you can do a Frankie flame if you want. But on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give this?
I put 4 out of 5 Frankie flames on my Letterboxd. I still think about Sinners. Sinners is just
I love it.
It's deep in my soul.
They could both be 5.
They could both be 5, but not quite.
I like that.
I definitely think it's 5 out of 5 in terms of like filmmaking and craft, but 4 out of 5 in my soul. That's how I feel about it.
Wow. You know that sound is like I was out niggered and I'll never be out niggered again. That's how I feel right now because I will give it a 5. You guys, I'm so sorry. I feel you're like in my soul. Sinners is better. And I'm just like, give it to Leo, give it to Shaw, these white ass actors.
I will say,
I feel you.
There's so many elements in one battle after another that I'm like, these are gonna get accolades, these are gonna get accolades. But I'm just praying and hoping that Sinners is never not left out of the conversation at all.
Yeah,
because I fear that it might because vampires. That's literally the only
because of the
reason
sci-fi
why.
aspect.
Yes,
agreed. Because I'm watching it with Interview with the Vampire. The fact that they were excluded from the Emmys
twice, both seasons.
I love the Pit. I love the Pit
as well.
It is incredible. But I'm like, y'all winning over Jacob. What's his name?
Yes,
like losing it, having a mental breakdown, meowing at a cat.
My God,
what are we doing here? This is a hospital drama. But we're running out of time. Please, Vanessa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Tell everyone where they could find you.
Oh, you guys can find me at Cut Creaser on Instagram, TikTok. I'll come back to YouTube eventually. But yeah.
And you can find me everywhere at Fantastic Frankey, FRANKEY. Thank you for joining me. And if you guys stayed, even through the spoilers, and didn't see the movie, you could tell it's incredible. Please watch it. And we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Yay.
Bye.